Ah, yes. Freedom in game design. To a lot of people, this subject may be considered taboo or too subjective to criticize games for the possession of whatever this trait is. And while that may be true to some extent, I do think that there is a line of objectivity that can be drawn around the holistic creation of video games. Drawing closer to that line in certain areas can make a mechanic less user-friendly or a narrative less compelling. Now, I do want to be very clear that this freedom is not player freedom. It's freedom that game designers possess when creating something. It's closer to artistic freedom in this case. As a model, let's look at something familiar to the gaming community, a skill pentagon. You see, this model shows different builds of different characters, listing offense, health, speed, skill, and support as different traits within those character classes. Now what if we took this image and labeled it Video Game Alpha? And instead of those 5 character traits, we listed these 5 video game aspects: character development, present narrative, actual gameplay, visual appeal, and audio/musical composition. Depending on the game you're playing, each of these 5 categories may be more emphasized than others. I actually started this script with the intent of talking about The Last of Us 2. Now, I won't get into any heated debate about choices. Instead, I would like to focus more on design emphasis. As far as quote-unquote scoring goes for design focus, The Last of Us 2 and the team that worked on the original The Last of Us game put their heaviest focus upon character development and present narrative. This is not to slight the designers of this series as having bad gameplay, poor visuals, or a boring musical composition. However, there is clear emphasis put on the characters and story more so than the other 3. Yeah, maybe the music was well fleshed out and so was everything else, but The Last of Us 1 and 2 both reach to tell a story more than they reach to play you some good music. So the freedom of the designers in this case would be their choice to focus on the story. And the next game that I'd like to look at is Super Mario World. This is one of my favorite platformers because it possesses such fun, classic Mario gameplay, it has vibrant, eye-catching colors, and the music and audio is, of course, iconic. The creators of this game did not have much focus on characters and the narrative being told. You're Mario and you save the princess. That's pretty much it. You don't need extensive dialogue or a complex, winding story to invest in. That's not why you play Mario. Comparing these two, in my humble opinion, is like comparing 2 foils in a work. They fill in the opposite parts that the other is missing. They function differently, and they're created differently too. There's freedom to do both, but thinking that one game is bad compared to the other doesn't work. Let video games be what they are. Just because I like platformers and you don't, doesn't justify me trashing non-platformer games. Vice versa, either way, however you look at it, doesn't matter. And if you have trouble with choosing between the two, you can always just try to find a game that has a blended emphasis on multiple traits. This is where genres can be decided and delineated. You don't get the same feeling when playing The Last of Us as you do when you play Super Mario World. Your taste in media consumption is what typically determines the style of game that you play, but when creative liberties are taken in design, it can alter people's perspective on those genres. Take the horror/thriller elements of The Last of Us, but make it a side-scroller with a unique art style and complex, engaging gameplay. Yeah, it exists, and it's called Inside. You should go check it out. And maybe you'll see what I mean. A designer choosing a genre, but being creative within the makeup of games, can make those games more memorable. Inside was super popular because people who like suspenseful horrors and people who like platformers agree that it's great. My point is, this is exhausting. The criticism in comparing different genres rests in personal taste. The designers are free to emphasize whatever aspects they want. Yeah, there's a ton of games that emphasize most of these aspects, and I'm sure all designers want each aspect to be perfect, but those types of games are much, much harder to create. Each aspect's delivery can be well done or poor in quality. However, stressing the importance of one over the other is completely subjective. Back to our comparison from before. I'm a personal fan of Dungeons & Dragons. I know I'm a nerd, but you should know that by now. I typically gravitate towards the rogue class for agility and tactical skill, but not everybody wants that. Some people like the head-on approach of paladins or clerics, and you're free to choose. I mean, I could continue on about this concept forever and discuss why that makes D&D so great, but I don't want to waste you guys' time. Point being, some people just don't like certain games, like certain D&D players don't like certain classes. As hard as that is to grasp for my own mind, that's just how it works. But all of this is okay. Games are constantly changing, developing, and evolving in structure, so literally anyone can do a basic concept search for a game and probably come up with a few similar results. The best thing to do from there is just dive right in. Alright, I hope this one sheds some light on video game design and the way that I'm trying to see games. It can be difficult, and some games just aren't great, you know? And that's okay too. But if someone looks at a game like The Last of Us 2 and nitpicks one or two singular aspects to label a game bad, that person isn't looking at the big picture. Thanks for watching the video, and if you want more, visit the channel icon and turn on notifications so you know when I post next. If you want, leave a comment about your opinion on game design. Hopefully, I'll see you all next time.